Deep in the wild, danger can strike when you least expect it. One moment feels calm, and the next turns into a fight for survival. A predator attacks with unbelievable power, and the outcome is shocking. What happened in this encounter will leave you on the edge of your seat. It was a crisp January morning in Southern California. The sun had just begun to rise over Whiting Ranch Wilderness Park, casting long shadows across the rugged trails and whispering eucalyptus trees. Mark J. Reynolds, a 35-year-old cyclist and outdoor enthusiast, was out doing what he loved most, riding solo through nature. He wasn't just a weekend warrior. Mark was a seasoned athlete, a former trainer with Carmichael Training Systems, and a man who had moved to California specifically to ride year-round. He knew these trails. He respected the terrain. But on January 8th, 2004, something went horribly wrong. While riding along the Cactus Ridge Trail, Mark's bike chain slipped. He stopped to fix it, crouched down in the dirt, focused on the repair. That's when the mountain lion struck. The attack was swift, silent, and fatal. Mark never had a chance to scream. The mountain lion had been lurking in the area. These creatures are solitary, elusive, and rarely seen by humans. But when they do attack, it's often from behind, targeting the neck. That's exactly what happened to Mark. The lion pounced, clamped its jaws around his skull, and dragged his body off the trail into thick brush. Hours passed before anyone realized what had happened, but the horror wasn't over. Later that same day, another cyclist, Ann Hjella, was riding nearby with her friend when the same mountain lion attacked again. This time, it grabbed Ann by the face and began dragging her into the undergrowth. Her friend, bravely and desperately, held onto Ann's legs and screamed for help. Other bikers arrived, throwing rocks and sticks until the lion finally released her. Ann survived, but barely. Her face was severely mauled, and she underwent multiple surgeries to recover. When authorities arrived, they began searching the area. That's when they found Mark's body, partially buried, hidden beneath leaves and dirt. The mountain lion had cached him, a behavior typical of big cats who plan to return to their kill later. The scene was gruesome. The reality was chilling. A man had been killed by a wild animal in a public park in broad daylight while doing something he loved. News spread quickly. The cycling community was stunned. Locals were terrified, and wildlife officials were faced with a difficult decision. The mountain lion was tracked, tranquilized, and euthanized. DNA tests confirmed it was the same animal responsible for both attacks. In the days following Mark Reynolds' death, grief rippled through the cycling community like a shockwave. Friends, family, and fellow riders struggled to process the loss, not just of a talented athlete, but of a man who embodied passion, loyalty, and joy. Mark wasn't just known for his skill on the bike. He was known for his generosity, his laughter, and his unwavering love for the outdoors. He had moved to California to chase that love, to ride year-round, to live fully. And he did, until nature took him in the most brutal way imaginable. But Mark's story didn't end on that trail. 9 months after the tragedy, on October 10th, 2004, a group of 40 people gathered at the top of Dreaded Hill in Whiting Ranch Wilderness Park. The occasion wasn't a race or a ride. It was a ceremony. A handcrafted split-log cedar bench had been placed there, overlooking the valley and the ocean beyond. In the center of its backrest, a bronze plaque reads, "Mark J. Reynolds, 1968 to 2004. He was doing what he loved." It's more than a bench. It's a landmark, a tribute, a place where riders pause, reflect, and remember. The location wasn't chosen randomly. It was one of Mark's favorite spots, a place he had conquered many times. Now, it stands as a quiet reminder of both the beauty and danger of the wilderness. The memorial didn't appear overnight. It was the result of tireless work by Mark's closest friends and family. Melissa Fletcher, one of the driving forces behind the tribute, worked closely with park rangers to get approval. She coordinated with landscape companies, navigated regulations, and made sure the bench would meet the park's strict specifications. When donated benches didn't fit the criteria, she kept pushing. Eventually, with help from Greg Norambaba, Jerry Beard, and Mark's best friend Sean Reagan, the perfect bench was found. The dedication ceremony was deeply emotional. Riders who had shared trails with Mark stood in silence. Friends who had laughed with him now cried, and those who had never met him felt the weight of his story. The bench became a symbol, not just of loss, but of resilience. It reminded everyone that while nature can be cruel, the bonds we form through it are powerful. Mark's death wasn't just a tragedy, it was a turning point. It sparked conversations about wildlife safety, trail awareness, and the unpredictable risks of outdoor recreation. Park officials increased signage, educated visitors, and reviewed safety protocols. Cyclists became more vigilant, and the story of Mark Reynolds became a cautionary tale told to every new rider entering Whiting Ranch. But more than that, it became a story of love, for sport, for nature, and for life itself.